All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. I think we'll probably have some people like popping in and out as we go along, but I want to go ahead and get started so I can be mindful of y'all's time. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we will jump right in. I just want to make sure I can still see my chat. Okay. And there we go. Perfect. Okay. Now if I can only find where my chat is. Move you guys up. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to try to keep this chat here in the corner. But it's possible that as we go through this, I might miss something. So if I miss your question in the chat and it's like urgent and you're like dying to know like what's going on, just raise your hand or unmute yourself and go, hey, stop, I have a question. I'm happy to do that. Not a problem at all. Okay. I want to see as many people as I can here. Okay. So if you are new to me, I am Brian Williams. I run a social media agency. I help people with their Instagram. My real specialty is helping people figure out how to stand out from their competition, how to make sales from Instagram, and how to grow on Instagram. So those are the things I do kind of day in and day out. And I absolutely love it. And it's like the best job in the world to get to help people like you guys grow your businesses and really establish an exciting presence and profitable presence online. So that's what we're talking about today. And really, if I look at my business over the last 2 years, the one thing that I can really pinpoint and go, this changed everything, it's when I came up with the right freebie. When I nailed that first freebie and it was like, okay, this is something everybody seems to need and want, it changed the entire landscape of my business. So that's what I want to see happen for you guys too. So that's the goal here at the end of our time together today. Okay. So I just kind of already introduced myself, but like I said, I have a social media agency and I help people like you build their businesses. So our goals today, can you guys see the full screen or are you blocked? Like, can you see where it says what to expect? You can see that. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because your smiling faces are in front of that for me. Okay. So what we're going to cover today is what actually makes a killer freebie, what not to do in your freebies, how to actually get people to sign up for it and grow that email list. And then I'm actually going to share with you my little mini freebie funnel. So what you do once you get that email address, how do you nurture that person and hopefully turn them into a loyal buying customer, right? So I'm going to share that with you guys today too. So if you're here and you're like, you know what, I'm not even sure I really know what a freebie is, I got you. So a freebie, sometimes you might hear it referred to as a lead magnet. A freebie is basically something that you give away in exchange for an email address or in exchange for the information of your potential customer, buyer, client, etc. So a freebie, if done well, can grow your email list. It'll help you build trust with your audience, create those loyal customers, and hopefully increase your sales, right? Wouldn't all of those things be wonderful? Sounds good, right? So to start, the biggest mistakes I see when it comes to freebies, and if you've been around my Instagram page for very long, you've heard me talk about these things. The biggest mistake I see people make are creating what I refer to as the boring PDF, right? And you've probably seen my post where I talk about nobody wants your PDF because it's true, right? And if you really stop and think about it, I bet each of us could go through our emails right now and find at least 2 things that we've opted into or put our email in for that we never even opened, never even downloaded. Or maybe we opened it and we were like, I'm not printing this out. What am I going to do with this? Or like, what am I going to do with this list of things that I don't really need? That's the biggest mistake I see. The other thing that I see right now, especially, and you're probably starting to notice this more and more as well, is there's a lot of what I call like a let's get started freebie, which is like, anything that's in your freebie or in your bio that would say the get started guide or, you know, guide for beginners. It's like, it's so vague. It's super, you know, general in terms of information. And something like that is never going to have the same impact as a really killer freebie, right? We want specific, tangible results that come from that freebie. And we're not going to get it from a basic, like your guide to getting started or something like that. Does that make sense? Are y'all with me? Okay. And if you, oh, I agree. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Yay. I knew you were my people. And if you guys have questions, feel free to like keep it in the chat too. I will do my best to keep my eyes over there. Okay. So that being said, I just gave you that caveat that was said like no boring PDFs, right? And I don't want everybody to run for the hills. There are little exceptions to that rule. Okay. If you are somebody who shares recipes all of the time, you can share recipes as a freebie. I'm cool with that because that's how I want to receive a recipe. I want to see it laid out. I want to download it. Like I expect a recipe to be delivered in that type of format, right? I'm cool with that. So recipes, things like that work totally fine. The other one is like an adult coloring page or something like that. Of course, I need to print that out, right? Otherwise, how am I going to use it? So that makes sense to me. Templates and worksheets for teachers. Also, I would expect that to show up in a PDF format because I need to print it out so I can use it for my students. That's another exception to the rule. And then the last exception would be something like a printable. So whether this is a calendar, some kind of artwork that you might be able to download and print out. I actually did download somebody's freebie a couple weeks ago. It was a year-long calendar that you can like frame and put on your wall. And I was like, okay, yeah, that would be beneficial. I'd like that, right? I actually downloaded somebody's PDF. So those are kind of the exceptions. And maybe you can think of some other little caveats to that rule. But keep that in mind as we move along, that these are some of the ones that I give a free pass to, right? If you're in any of these niches, I'm okay with you giving a PDF, but we can still find better ways to get people to sign up for it and better ways to get people excited about actually downloading it. Okay. So, I can't even see what okay. So this is how we drive traffic to the freebie. Hold on a second here. Whoops. We just skipped like a whole bunch of slides. What in the world? Hold on here. Let's go way back. I was like, what is happening? Okay, there we go. That'll be easier. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of freebies that I have used and why they work so well. Okay, so the first freebie, the one I referenced early in the workshop, is the one that like legitimately changed my business, and that was the bio bootcamp. Okay, here's why that worked. It worked because it's something that anyone who's on Instagram, especially if you're using Instagram for business purposes, needs to know this information because it helps you to get the right people to find your page, right? We talked about where to put certain words so that you trigger SEO and have people finding your account. It gave people a tangible outcome, right? Do this. It's something easy that you can do right now today to change your Instagram presence, and you're actually going to see a difference, right? It was a tangible, quick win that was easy to execute. It helped people move the needle a little bit closer to their goal of growing their Instagram account or making sales, et cetera, from Instagram. Since I did that boot camp last year, we've had over 2,500 people go through Bio Bootcamp. That's a lot. That's a lot of people, right? But more important to me than that number are the people that reach out to me afterwards and go, oh my gosh, that was so helpful. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that was free. What else? What should I do next? What do you think about that? It started real live conversations in my DMs with people that, you know, I now either have a little relationship with, that I communicate with on a consistent basis. Some of them became clients, some of them became friends, right? So it actually did a lot more than just grow my email list. So that's an important piece of it. The other really important element to the Bio Bootcamp, because I delivered it like this, it was a workshop live on Zoom. It gave people an idea of what it would be like to work with me. right? Maybe I'm not your vibe, right? Maybe you're more mellow and quiet and I'm a little too loud for you. That's totally fine. But taking a little free workshop gives you the sense of how I teach, how I deliver the information. Maybe I teach in a way that you find really easy to understand. Maybe I don't. That's helpful to know. And if done right, can lead to more and more potential clients. So that was Bio Bootcamp, and it happened last year. And some of you I know have gone through it. Some of you, maybe that's how you found me, right? So I'd be curious to actually know. Could this be applied well for faceless marketing? Yeah, we will get into that in a little bit. That's a really good question, Amanda. And if I forget, come back to me and I want to make sure I answer that. So with Bio Bootcamp, this is how I drove traffic to it. All right. I made really these two posts are responsible for almost every single person that's taken Bio Bootcamp. The one on the right was a carousel post. It said, don't post anything on Instagram before you do this. So it's a really strong hook. You instantly want to know what the heck is the thing that I shouldn't do, right? And you're going to slide through. It tells you that you need to have your bio set up properly. It gives you evidence why you need to have that way. It shows you before and afters, and then it gives you the call to action. Want me to look at your bio? Comment bio. I'll help you out, right? And it leads them right to that Bio Bootcamp. So that one has driven probably the most traffic. Second to that is this one on the left, which was a reel that I did where I showed a result of one of the people that was in the very first Bio Bootcamp, her results, her bio before when she showed up to bootcamp, and what her bio and her account looks like today. When she came to Bio Bootcamp, she had 116 followers on Instagram. Today, she has over 56,000. I'm not going to claim that the only reason she has those followers is from Bio Bootcamp. Of course it's not. She has really good content. She's got a niche that is, people love the information she shares. But we did a dramatic makeover on her bio, and people were able to find her much more easily. And once they landed on her page, it was very clear who that page was for and why they should hang around. So that's how I drove almost all the traffic to Bio Bootcamp from these two posts. Let me give you another example here. Oh my gosh, it keeps skipping on me. Hold up. Da-da-da. Sorry, guys. I got a mouse that's really, oh my goodness, taken over. All right, we'll find the right slide. Okay, so the second freebie would be this class that you guys are here for right now, the Killer Freebie Workshop. Okay, so why does the Killer Freebie Workshop work? It works because, again, you're getting a quick win. By the end of this class, you're going to have an idea of what the heck you should have as your freebie, how to create it, what to use it for, how to drive traffic to it, and how to get people to sign up for it. It's going to give you an idea of what it's like to work with me. And it's the first step, really, if you're building any kind of business online, right? If you need to grow your email list, if you need to build an audience for selling digital products, etc., having the right freebie is one of the first steps that you need to take. So it's giving you that first step. We're checking that off the box. Within a week of putting this out there, we had over 200 people sign up for it. And all we did was 3 Instagram posts and 4 stories. I didn't send a single email out about this workshop until last night when I sent you guys the workbook. I didn't run ads to it. I did nothing except for 3 posts on Instagram and 4 Instagram stories. So I'm going to show you what that traffic looked like. These were the 3 posts that I used on Instagram. 2 out of the 3 are exactly the same post, literally the same words, basically word for word. I did one, and then my daughter was playing on her bike the other day and she was like, "Mom, record me." And she drove up and she just did that. And I was like, okay, well, that's cute. Now I have to use it. And she says the exact same thing that I said in the first post, same exact caption, all of it. Okay. So it was those 2 that said, nobody wants your PDF. We've got to start creating better freebies, etc. Check the caption for what's working or how to create a better freebie. And then I did one other post that said, if you have a getting started guide in your bio, I know why you're not making sales. And that leads them to the killer freebie opt-in, right? That's it. That's all we did to drive traffic, because we clearly called out who this was for and what the result would be if they fixed that problem, right? Because you either knew already that you didn't have a freebie or that your freebie wasn't really working. So if you saw these, it would instantly be like, okay, well, yeah, that's something I probably need. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. Okay, so like I said before, having the right freebie can completely 100% change your business. Once I got Bio Bootcamp kind of firing on all cylinders, my account took off, my sales grew, my clients filled up, like everything changed once I figured out that one little workshop. So again, the right freebie can grow your following. It will grow your email list, obviously, and it can also grow your income, which I think is probably what we're all most excited about, right? Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so where do we start? These are some really great questions to start answering when it comes to coming up with your specific freebie. And hopefully in the email I sent out last night, you have your whole killer freebie workbook. And in that, you'll find these questions. You'll find a few pages where you can jot down, you know, brainstorming your ideas for what to do in your own freebie. But the questions you really need to start out with are, and some of these are going to feel really basic for some of you, but they're still super important to answer. So the first one would be, who do you help? Who is your target audience? If we don't know that, we're gonna have a really hard time coming up with the perfect offer for them. So who do you help? What do you help them with? What are your paid offers, right? We kind of want to know what that is before we create the freebie. And then what is the first step that your ideal customer or client would need to tackle in order to reach their goal? Okay, so these 4 questions are super important because they're going to help us to know what would be the very best freebie that would make sense for your ideal, perfect, dreamy client. Any questions on that so far? We're going to get a little more in depth with these here, but that's it so far. Okay. Okay, so questions you can answer if you already have a freebie. Does your freebie do this? Does it naturally lead people to your next paid offer, right? So if they take your freebie and download it, does it naturally go, okay, well, I did that. Now what do I do? Right? Like, what can she help me with next? Or now I need help with this. And oh, look, she has that as her next offer. She can help me do that too, right? So we want the freebie to naturally connect or lead people to the paid offer. We want it to leave the user thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that was free. Like I would have paid for that. That was so helpful. So we always want to over deliver, right? The worst thing that can happen is somebody downloads your freebie and they're like, okay, that's it. Great. Like that did nothing for me. Or like they never even use it because it's like, well, this is dumb. I've seen all this before, right? We don't want that. We want it to leave them wanting more from you, more of you, to learn more from you and see what your next things are. And we want the freebie to make buying any of your paid offers a complete no-brainer, right? Where they're like, okay, if this was the freebie, imagine how much value I'm going to get from the paid offer, right? We want them to be like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds great. Okay. Okay, so common questions that come up right away when we start talking about freebies, and this is probably the most common, but I don't want to give away too much for free. Like, how do I know if I'm giving away too much, right? Have you guys ever thought that? Here's my take on that answer. Never, ever have I taken a free class from somebody or downloaded a free workshop or something from somebody, gotten a ton of value and been super blown away and impressed by them, and then thought, yeah, I'm good. Now I know I'm an expert. I don't need any other help. And like, I don't even need to see what they have next. It's only ever made me want more, right? If I've gotten so much help from something that was free from somebody, it's always made me go, okay, well, does she have a mastermind? Does she do one-on-one coaching? Like, what else can I do to work with her? Right? It's only ever made me want more. So I'm of the school of thought that you can't give away too much, right? You're never giving, a freebie's never going to give you A to Z, right? We're never going to give away the entire process, but we can really teach A, right? So you understand A, and A is checked off the list and you're ready to move on to B. We don't have to give them the entire thing, but we want to give them all of the one piece of the puzzle, right? Completely. Does that make sense? Is that something that you guys kind of have thought? Like, I don't know, like, this could be a freebie, but I worry that like, if I give them this, then they're not going to need my paid offer. Yeah. Super, super common. Super common. Okay. So another question that comes up a lot is, okay, well, I have a freebie and I think it's great, but nobody is signing up. Or what if I do this and no one comes, or nobody opts in and nobody gets my freebie? Then what do I do? That's super common too. And I'm going to show you what I do to drive the traffic and how I get those like consistent leads every single day, because that's what we're after. And if you do it right, you really should be able to get leads from every single post, from any post that you make, and you should be getting leads every single day. And I think if I look back, that has been the case. Every post that I make either turns into one lead or one sale at least. And I have gotten leads every single day from my freebie. So that's hopefully encouraging that same thing can be true for you. Okay, so if the question was, I'm worried that no one will sign up and I don't know how to get people to actually get my freebie and get excited about it, this is kind of your solution. It's what I call the freebie funnel, okay? And it's really, I break it down into 4 pieces in this slide. So it's pretty simple to understand. The first part we talked about, it's your who. It's understanding your audience better than anyone else, what their current struggle is, what they think the problem is, and what their goal or ideal outcome is. That's your who. Then we've got your freebie. It's your no-brainer offer that people want to opt into. It gives them a quick win and you're always over-delivering. You then drive content to it or drive traffic to it with your content. So you're speaking exactly your audience's words and creating content that shows them that your offer, your freebie, is the bridge from where they currently are in the struggle to where they want to be in their ideal outcome or goal. Your freebie is the bridge, right? So if I use Bio Bootcamp as an example, okay, the struggle is my Instagram account isn't growing, nobody's seeing my content, and I'm having trouble like growing my account. Okay, well, having the right bio can help SEO trigger or help you trigger SEO so that the right people actually find your account and get excited to stick around and follow you. Okay, well, how do you do that? I'm going to make it simple. Here's the Bio Bootcamp. It's going to teach you everything you need to put in your bio to make a bigger impact. The bridge is the bootcamp. And after we create that content, then we set up automations so that you can get leads and people opting into that freebie, even while you're out at dinner, while you're sleeping, all of that, right? We want it to happen kind of behind the scenes all the time without you having to do it constantly. So things like ManyChat, automations will help you to bring in leads and sales 24/7. Okay, so this next slide is going to break this freebie funnel down in a little different way. So if you're less of a visual learner and more of like a just break it down in steps for me, this is your steps. And I have it's broken down into 5 here. But step 1, understanding your audience. 2 is creating your killer freebie. 3 is creating demand for the freebie, and that's with your content. 4 is setting up your automations and your emails. And then 5 is driving traffic. So traffic, really, we can say we drive traffic with our content. We can also get into, if you really wanted to down the road, paid ads to drive traffic to your specific freebie, or even boosting to drive traffic. Aw, Juliana said, Bio Bootcamp turned me into a client. I can speak about seeing the value in your freebie and turning that into a lead and a sale. Not disappointed one bit. Oh, I love you. See, I got the best people here. They're amazing. Okay, so does that 5-step process make sense? Pretty clear? Okay. All right, let's get a little deeper here. All right, so here are some ideas to just get you kind of like get the ideas flowing for you. What kind of freebies I think actually work well. Okay, so my favorite for me personally is a free workshop. I love a free workshop, partly because I love to teach like this. I like to be live and interacting with students. I absolutely love it. So free workshops are great. And like I said, one of the benefits of that is you get to interact and answer questions that come up for people. So they're getting a little more help and a little more one-on-one. Plus it gives them the idea of what you would be like as a coach or to work with, you know, in a different capacity. I also really like a secret podcast. If you're somebody who has a podcast already, you can drop kind of like private episodes or hidden secret episodes where you have to opt in, and it's like a specific, you know, maybe 30 to 40 minute podcast about a specific topic that brings in a tangible outcome, right? Maybe you're going to give us the behind the scenes of your $100,000 launch, or maybe you're going to give us your exact ad strategy or something, right? That not everybody else has access to. Audio downloads are really cool. So if you are in kind of like the mindset or, you know, yoga, meditation, that kind of thing space, I love like a hypnosis track, like the binaural beats. Those are really cool. You can do like a guided meditation, and they're audio downloads that you can kind of guide people through. You can even do those as like a YouTube video, so that if you want them to have some visual components too, that works well also. Quizzes are another really great one. Just because by nature, we're all curious, right? Humans are curious by nature. And if you can think back, I'm going to date myself, but like thinking back to like Cosmo days or 17 magazine, and like we all wanted to know like which TV character we were, or which Sex and the City character we were, which, you know, Game of Thrones character, you know, our personality lined up with. We just want to know that kind of information. So if you can craft a freebie that's a quiz that lets, you know, maybe it's what brand archetype are you, or what kind of money mindset do you have? Those are all really helpful because people just are curious and we want to know. We want to know what type of person we are, right? Also, that's really good for like a human design chart. You could do a lot of stuff with human design and quizzes as well. And I'm going to share some resources at the end of this. If you wanted to create a quiz, there's a lot of free places you can do that. One of them's Typeform, and there's links in your PDF as well to go straight to those things. If you have a product-based business, or, you know, like a yoga studio, Pilates studio, fitness studio, something like that, even I've seen this work too with like hair salons and places like that. Giving people discounts or free trials can work really well for that type of account. If you have a membership, you can give people, you know, like a free week trial, or maybe they get a free month of whatever. Those are really helpful too. I know I've probably got like how many times I've, you know, put my email in on some product I'm going to buy off Instagram just to save 10%. I'm like, yeah, sure. Why would I not do that? Okay. James or Coop says, what about a newsletter that adds lots of value? So I'm not a huge fan. Like, I feel bad. I'm like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not a huge fan of a newsletter as a freebie. Just because there's no instant, like quick win. There's no instant fix or solution to a problem that I'm dealing with. It's maybe, you know, I'm going to get the email, but I might not even get it until the next time you send an email out, potentially. And it's just not specific and tangible. I think newsletters are great and you should still be doing that and sending that value and communicating with your audience. But I think as a freebie, so much more impactful if you have a specific problem that you're solving. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, hold on. I'm going to go back here. Okay. Somebody said, okay, when in the process do you work on your paid offer? Okay, that's a good question too. So like I said, it's helpful to know what you want your paid offer to be before you're creating your freebie, right? So if I'm trying to think of an example of this. If I did a freebie about, maybe my freebie is, about how to start a podcast, right? And maybe it's like a 30-minute workshop where I teach you like the 101 basics of starting your own podcast. Okay, well, if my offer and my content has nothing to do with podcasting, and I'm not the girl you go to for podcasting, that's not going to perform very well. And it's not going to drive people to my paid offers, right? If I'm going to teach a freebie about how to get started with a podcast, then my paid offer should be something related to that topic, right? Whether it's how to get your podcast ranked or how to actually produce, brand, and monetize your podcast, right? Like that would make sense as the next obvious step in that process. Okay. Okay. Moana says, what would be a good freebie for a keynote speaker? The main clientele are event and meeting planners booking for speakers. Okay, let me think about this for a second. Okay, so so let me make sure I'm understanding this, Moana. So a keynote speaker whose clientele is getting people to book speaking gigs? I'm sort of confused. Can you open your mic if you're here?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, it's not necessarily working one-on-one with clients. These are like planners, like event planners that are looking for speakers to like speak at their conferences and their bring them into their office to like talk to their teams, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So if that was my ideal person and I'm trying to get them to book different speakers and I know that they're looking for speakers, maybe it's a breakdown of where to find the speakers. Like, here's the places you should really be looking. Maybe it's even like a catalog of here are the speakers that I recommend most. Here's my top 10 speakers for each industry or each niche.
But I am the speaker trying to get booked.
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was still confused. Okay. Okay. So if you're the speaker trying to get booked, I mean, having even an example of your speaking, let me think about this one.
Yeah, see, that's why I get stuck too. Some
I'm gonna think
speakers are
about
like,
it.
just provide your slides. And I'm like, really? Isn't that kind of boring?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you could do like a presentation or some sort of like video tutorial about how bringing you in as a speaker has transformed other businesses, right? So if you can show like, I was brought in to speak at this event, here's what they brought me in for, here's the tangible outcome that I was able to deliver for their audience. And from my talk, their sales staff or their team, walked away with these tangible things that they could implement in their sales process, or like, this was the tangible outcome. If you could show some sort of like ROI for people, like, how booking a speaker can change, what they're going to get from that, from a return on investment standpoint, if that makes sense.
The ROI thing just gave me an idea because my whole shtick is like increasing employee retention.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I can play with that. It's like, here's how my talk will, blah, blah, blah. And like something, I don't know, like a mini masterclass or whatever for like struggling HR managers. So it's like,
I love that.
something.
well,
Yeah.
Even
you
even
helped
if you
me.
did something like a little masterclass for like HR people or whatever, that's almost kind of a little cheeky, something like, oh gosh, not another speaker. Or, like, oh, not another boring
Yeah.
speaker, right? Like, how is what you do different? And how is that something that they could take and model even in their own business when they talk to their
Exactly.
employees? Like how to make it more interactive, how to like get people to actually pay attention and listen and implement what you're teaching in that speech.
Yeah. Oh, that is genius.
That'd be helpful.
Perfect. Thank you, Maria.
Awesome. Good. Sorry, we took the long road to get there, but we got there. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we talked about like discounts, free trials for memberships and products, services, studios, things like that. Another freebie that I actually really like is something kind of like I would call it like a data calculator. So these are helpful if, say you're in the fitness or wellness industry and you help people with like figuring out their macros and you're a macro coach. Okay, well, one really cool thing that you can do is give people a macro calculator, like that they can type their information into and they can figure out their own macros. You could also do that, like, you can do a launch calculator, like how to type in like, okay, if this is my price point for my product, this is how many people I'm estimating will sign up for my workshop. What is my, expected revenue? Where you can kind of plug those numbers in and play around with like, how many people do I need to get opt-in in order to have that, 50K launch or whatever the goal is. Those work well. You could do that same thing with like, something to get out of debt if you're in the finance space, saving for our first house, all that kind of stuff. A grocery calculator. I know I could use that right now. Have you been to the grocery store lately? It's like gross. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some ideas of things that are working pretty well right now. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think Juliana, were you referencing the Moana's comment of showing your process? Like, I think that's really cool too, if you can, and that would actually be really neat content for you, Moana, to show the process of like, here's the client I'm working with. This is how I come up with like what I'm going to talk about and how I'm going to help them and how it's actually going to be different than anything else they've ever had before. Okay. Rebecca said, I got to go get my kid from school. I appreciate your time. Awesome. Glad you were here. I will definitely send you the replay. Okay. I help clients leave toxic corporate jobs and find a new job. What would be a good freebie? Okay. So you could do like a free workshop where you kind of like almost like a get out of jail plan, right? Like here's your, 30-day exit strategy, or how to set yourself up so that you can leave your 9 to 5, or you can leave that toxic job in the next 3 months or 6 months or whatever your, time frame is. But giving people kind of a tangible thing that you could start doing. Maybe there's one piece of that that's really important. Like maybe if I'm in a corporate job and I've been there for 10 years and it's toxic and I want out, maybe I need to get my like CV together. Maybe I need to get my resume zhuzhed up and get some letters of recommendation. Maybe I need to like, start posting on LinkedIn and how to like build my presence there so that people really want me to come work for them. I think any of those would make sense for that. How does any of that resonate with you? Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
That was really great. I love the first idea of the 30-day exit strategy.
Yeah.
I was also thinking of putting like an offer, like a low price offer for how to write a resume. And
Yeah.
it made me think that maybe I should give that away. I don't know.
I mean, I think either or, right? You could do a free workshop as the exit strategy. And maybe you talk about like, here's how I write my resumes and here's like the basics of what your resume needs to have. And if you need extra help with that, maybe it's like a $9 add-on or something really low ticket that they can grab. And it's literally your template that they just have to plug and play.
Okay.
That would be an easy upsell because it's something they know they're going to have, right? You can't not have that if you're looking for a corporate job.
Exactly.
Okay. Would you focus on completing a paid course first or begin with a freebie that you can market and begin. Okay, and to begin collecting email address. Okay, this is a great question. I would 100% start with the freebie. But that being said, I would have in mind what that paid offer is going to be or what I want it to be. So that way I can still start driving people to the freebie, collecting all those email addresses that then I can market to. I'm building trust with those people. I'm growing my account and growing my level of authority and expertise so that then when I go to present my paid offer, I've already got a really warm audience of people that are like, yes, like she's my girl, like that. I love how she teaches and I want to learn from her. Right. So having at least the idea or topic or, genre of what your paid offer will be, you need to have that in mind, but go ahead and push the freebie out, market the freebie, talk about the freebie, drive traffic to it so that you're building your email list and your audience of people you can market that paid offer to. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. Let's see. Love the jail plan. Ideas for stay-at-home moms not wanting to go back to 9 to 5. Yeah. So, I guess Amanda, are you in digital marketing? Is that your situation? Are you there? Where's Amanda? Like looking through the people. I like can't see you all at once. Okay. Amanda, if you could just let me know in the chat or open your mic and let me know, is that your?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so I'm doing digital products through Faceless Marketing.
Okay, cool. Are these like MRR products, PLR, or are you creating your own stuff?
Yes, to start with until I kind of find what I would like to create myself.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, stay-at-home moms not wanting to go back to their 9 to 5. So if you're doing these digital products, so are you in a situation where you don't have to go to your 9 to 5 anymore?
Yes, but time is running out.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I think that's actually really good content to create too. Like let people in on that journey. Like, hey, look, if this doesn't, my goal was to get here so that I didn't have to go back to my 9 to 5 job, but like the clock is ticking. So this is my process and this is what I'm going to do to make sure I don't have to go back. Because I think anybody who's left their 9 to 5 to start their own thing and run their own business and do this whole entrepreneurial journey feels that, right? Like I know I felt that. So even if you could do like a workshop or something that taught people, let me think here. So if I had a short window where I was going to have to go back to my 9 to 5, maybe there is something you could teach that would easily allow me to bring in an extra like $500 a month, right? Maybe you can craft a plan that like maps out the process of just making $500 extra per month. And maybe that's enough. Or maybe there's a way, like, I mean, you could go all sorts of places with this, like, here's a grocery budget and here's how to save an extra $50 every time you go to the grocery store. If you're just trying to find the money not to have to go back to the 9 to 5. Maybe the problem with the MRR stuff and the digital marketing in my seat where I sit is that it's hard to sell something you don't already have the expertise and authority in, right? So that becomes the trick bag that a lot of people are in. So if you can figure out what is the piece of that digital marketing strategy or digital product model that you're particularly excited about or you're particularly good at, then you can teach a little workshop on that, right? And use that to build your freebie. So like one of my VIP girls, new to digital marketing, but she's really good at using Notion. I don't know if you guys know what Notion is. It's this cool app I had never even heard of, but you can do so many cool things with Notion, like building calendars and all sorts of stuff. You can deliver your freebies in Notion. So she's working on like teaching people how to use Notion in their business, like how to deliver your freebie using Notion, how it replaces all this other software that you're paying for. So those are really great ways to kind of become the like mini expert on your way to becoming the expert in that whole niche, if that makes sense, right? If you can find one, maybe you're really good at the editing of reels and content and video. Maybe you're an expert or just really good at using Canva or Kajabi. Like if there's something that you're especially good at, maybe it's writing, coming up with hooks or writing captions. If you can narrow down one of the things that you're going to be really good at, then it'll help you grow overall and you'll be able to come up with freebies in that little micro niche, if you will, that's going to help you establish your presence as the authority. Did that help at all, Amanda? I hope. A little
Yeah,
bit.
that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Coop says he loves the branding ideas for the get out of jail card. I know, like the Monopoly, like, congratulations.
And he's getting on the, is that hers? Yeah.
Oh,
She almost got on the wrong.
uh-oh, somebody. Y'all can mute, that would be groovy. I don't know who's not muted because I can't even see you all. Okay. Let's see, great advice. I'd use the Notion workshop. Cool. Yeah, I think it's really neat from what I've seen of it so far. Okay, I answered that. Wait, do you focus on one freebie, or if you have a couple of ideas, do you give multiple a try to see what has the most interest? So that's a good question too. I don't think that I would encourage you to go like create and like produce multiple freebies without knowing ahead of time like what your actual audience wants and needs. So that's when market research really comes into play. In your workbook, you've got some questions and places to do that market research. And I think we talk about it here in a bit. But market research is really important so that you actually know what the biggest problem your audience is struggling with right now is, and what are they looking for, right? Because the last thing you want to do is go create this beautiful freebie or this workshop that you spend all this time on, and it's not even something that your ideal audience is interested in. Somebody's not muted. So if you could all just check your mics and make sure you're muted. It makes it hard to hear. I'm trying to see if I can see who's not muted. Okay, well, we'll just have to figure it out. Okay, anyway. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, if you know that both of these things that you have an idea for are all like great ideas, but that they might, you know that your audience would both love them, then you can test both, right? Like I've only had the bio boot camp until today. Like this is the first time this new freebie is even out in the world. So now I have the ability to test both and I can play around with, do I want to swap the bio boot camp out for this one? I don't know. I may not, kind of depends. Okay, so that is that. Let's see what else we have in our slide deck. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the who, right? That is your audience, really understanding, and this goes into that market research piece too, but understanding like what their current struggle is. What do they think their problem is? Because it may not actually be what the real problem is, but what do they think is the problem? What have they already tried? And why didn't it work? And really getting specific about what their ideal outcome is. Right? That's important. So then the what is your freebie? The what is the offer? But we're talking freebies for now. So making sure that your freebie is a no-brainer. It gives them a quick win. It over delivers and leaves them wanting more, leaves them wanting to work with you more, and it leads effortlessly to your paid offers, right? The paid offer becomes the next obvious step that they would take. Yeah. And I'll see here. So then your content, this is how we drive the traffic, right? The content is super important. How we talk about the freebie makes all the difference in the world. So The content is how we drive that traffic. It has to act as that bridge that we talked about. So we want to promote the outcome that the freebie will deliver. So it's not so much even about like staying in the pain points, right? We don't want to only talk about the problem. We want to talk about what's possible for them once they figure this out with our freebie. Like once they get through the freebie and they solve the problem, here's how things are going to be different. The other really important thing in your content is that you're actually using their words, not what you think that they would say or describe it as, how they actually say it in their words, how they describe their current struggle and their current reality. And the best way to figure out those words is through market research. So the absolute best way to do this is going to be like either via Zoom or just having people DM you voice notes, right? It's going to be a lot easier to get a yes from somebody in like, hey, if I ask you a couple questions, could you just voice note me back and like answer them? Would that be okay? And I'll send you a gift card or $5 Starbucks or something. They're a lot more likely to do that than they're going to be likely to hop on a Zoom with somebody they don't necessarily know, because they're going to think they're going to get pitched to or sold to, and nobody really is looking for that. So you can put, I've done this before. You put up stories in your Instagram story saying like, hey, I'm doing some research for a new product I'm working on. I could really use your help. If you're willing to answer 5 questions for me in the DMs, like I'll shoot you a Starbucks card, like slide this thing if you're up for that. And a lot of people will respond, even if you get 2 or 3, that's amazing. So then you ask them questions, and I think you have those questions in your workbook. But just in case, the questions are going to be like, what is the biggest struggle you're having right now as it pertains to this, like whatever, niche you're in or industry you're in. So like if I was doing like women's health or like hormones or weight loss, I'd say like, what is the biggest struggle you're facing right now as it pertains to like weight loss or your hormones? I would ask them what they've already tried. And how did that work? I would ask them that like, if I could wave a magic wand and like solve that problem for you, how would that change your life or your business? Like what would be different? And see what they're saying that outcome is that they're after. What's the other one that I would say? Yeah, even if you just get those, that's like really juicy information, getting their words. And when they voice note it, you're actually going to hear the emotion and intonation in their voice. So you're going to have a lot better understanding of like how they really feel about this versus when we text or email people, we're going to edit, we're going to say it in a polite way, or, we're going to use like big girl words instead of like just saying how we really feel. All right, let's see here. Okay, so then the automation, this is the fun part, but it's also the part where a lot of people check out, because this is where, systems and software come into play. And a lot of people either get overwhelmed with this or they just feel like they're not ready for this piece. And I want to let you all know right now that you are ready for this piece. Don't wait to start doing automation. I waited with Bio Bootcamp for probably the first 6 to 9 months. I did not use ManyChat. I did not use any automation at all. And I was literally, I had a note pre-written in my notes app on my phone with the link to the Bio Bootcamp replay. And anytime somebody would comment bio, I would go into my notes app, copy it, send it to their DMs, and try to find their first name, add their first name to it so it was personalized. But I kept up with it for the most part. But as more leads start to come in, you are going to miss so many people by doing that. And the other downside is this: if I'm doing it manually, even if I only have, 2 people a day opting into that freebie, if I don't send it to them the moment that they comment bio, I've lost them. Right? Think about this. At least for me, I opt into so many like Amazon influencers. Oh, those are cute leggings. Ooh, cute necklace, right? And I'll comment the word to get the link for the leggings or whatever. I do that a lot. And so does everyone else. So if I'm not getting the notification right then on my phone, guess what? By the time I go into my DMs, I don't have a clue who you are anymore or what product I wanted that you were talking. So I'm not going to click on it. I've moved on. I've completely forgot about it. It has to happen right then. What do I use for automation? I'm so glad you asked. So automation, I use ManyChat. I use Zapier, and I'll show you all that stuff. But like I was saying, like automation matters if you actually want to make sales. It actually matters, especially, and if you want to get leads, because we want that instant gratification. We want those increased conversions and sales, and it really will allow for that passive part of business to happen, like the passive income, the passive leads. And that's really what you need to start building if you want the kind of business that I know you all want, right? Okay. So, here's a couple, well, before we get into this. So for automation, I use ManyChat for all of my like Instagram DM automations. So that's probably how lots of you got the link to this workshop. So you comment a word, right? And I set up my ManyChat automations where if they comment this word, I automatically deliver them to their DMs, the link to the thing I want them to opt into, and then it comments on, that replies to their comment in the actual thread of the post. That's also equally important. So ManyChat is 100% worth the money. And I would do, if you can, there's a free version, but the free version will only allow you to do an automation per specific post, right? So if I'm doing the bio bootcamp and I want you to comment bio to get the link to the bootcamp, then I'm going to have to set that automation up on each individual post when I talk about the bio bootcamp. That's a lot of work. So for me, I want those automations to happen on whatever post I make. If I make them comment the word bio, I still want it to work, the same exact automation. So that's the pro version of ManyChat. You'll have the ability to do it on any post, any reel, anytime. And that's ideal. I want to say it's like $18 a month, but I would say it's well worth the money if you have that. Yeah, that's ManyChat. Do most have a free version? I mean, I think probably that's what most people start out with, but like I said, it can get cumbersome to have to go in and consistently go, okay, what's the automation for this post that I'm making? Okay, now I either have to build that automation again, or, you know, it just becomes it's more work, I guess, is the end of the short version of that statement. So ManyChat is what I use for DM automations and to send people those links. But then to deliver the actual freebie and get the email, I am like the biggest fan of StanStore. It is my absolute favorite. People make fun of me because I like how much I talk about StanStore. And honestly, StanStore can act as a website for you. Like I don't ever point people to my website because it's just like something silly I built on Kajabi. It's nothing fancy. I'd much rather you go to StanStore to look at all of my offers and all of my products. Like it's so much better. The reason StanStore works is because the people who built it and designed it, it is specifically designed to increase conversions, and it is specifically designed for Instagram. So I don't know the ins and outs of coding and like software development, but I know that once I started using StanStore, my leads increased and my sales increased pretty dramatically. So I think you will find using StanStore, you will get more leads and more actual opt-ins to your paid offers too. So I'm a huge fan. There is a pro version of that too, which I use. It is a little more of an investment though. I think it's like 90 something a month. There's a lesser plan, I think is like in the 20s. But the pro version is what I personally like because it allows you to do discount codes, affiliate links, and order bumps. And the order bump is really important if you want to increase your like total cart value per checkout. It's just a nice way to it'll boost your overall sales and income. Okay, so this will walk you through, I'm not gonna go through all of this right now. It's in your PDF thing too, your workbook. But this is how you would set up the stand store. Basically you create an account, you select add product. If you're delivering your freebie, you're just gonna select collect emails and applications. You'll add your freebie right there. And basically anytime somebody goes to that stand store, that'll be the first thing that they see. And if you go to my stand store, it is the first thing that you'll see is that Bio Bootcamp opt-in. You can use stand store for emails as well. Especially I know for sure that the pro version has an email service provider. I don't use that. I use Flowdesk and I just connect everything through Zapier. So, okay, pause for a second. If everything I just said in the last 5 minutes has made you go cross-eyed and you're like, whoa, you had me until you started talking about softwares and stand stores and email opt-ins and this, and now I'm lost. Okay, I get it. You're not alone. Everything I'm talking about right now is what is in Post and Profit Playbook. It's like a 2-hour workshop and 50-page workbook, but I literally go live in my stand store and add products and show you how to connect it and show you how to connect it to the Flowdesk and how to all the pieces of the tech and setup side. So if that's the part that has you most overwhelmed, the answer is the Post and Profit workshop, because it will walk you through all of this, like step by step. You'll see it happening live in front of you so you can do it seamlessly. Yeah. All right, there's my caveat. Okay, so this is the little mini freebie email sequence. And this is really important because the last thing you want to do is get these emails and get these new people that are excited to work with you or get your offer, and then you ghost them. And I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't done that, because I have. And that's probably the weakest link in my own business is my email marketing. And you guys probably know that just from being on my email list. But this is a basic sequence that you can set up in Flowdesk or whatever your service provider is. The Post and Profit Playbook walks you through this piece of it too, how to set that workflow up. But ideally, when somebody gets your freebie, it adds them to what is called a workflow, which then basically it's triggered automatically that you set it up for either 24 hours, 48 hours, a week later, whatever, but it's going to automatically continue to send them the right emails after they get that freebie. So it's going to continue to nurture them and kind of, help them. So email 1 is obvious, right? It gets sent immediately when they ask for the freebie. It delivers the freebie. So subject line is pretty simple. Hey, your killer freebie workshop is here. Great, right? And then it has the replay inside there. You might want to add a little note in that first email of, here's the best practices, or here's how to get the most out of the workshop. Email 2, I would send 24 hours later. And the question that you want to answer with email 2 is, okay, but what do I do now? Right? So they've got the freebie, maybe they've gone through the freebie and they're probably thinking, okay, but now I'm stuck at this point. Right? What are some of the questions that are going to come up after they go through your freebie? Think about that and then use that second email to answer those questions. So for Bio Bootcamp, the next email you get says something like, okay, but now what the heck do I post? And in that email, I give you my, I call it the cash formula. It's the 4 types of content that you should be posting, and I break it down. So I answer that obvious next question for them. Email 3, again, 24 hours later. This is going to be kind of a transformation, or it shows the ideal outcome, right? So this is like a subject line that would say how I started making consistent 10K months from social media and how you can too, right? Where I talk about, I don't even remember what's in that email, but I'm going to give them kind of a little more of that next step of the process, right? We got your bio figured out. Now let's get your business actually making money. The next email 24 hours later is a testimonial, or a social proof, if you will. So I use my girl, Kristen, and the subject line is how Kristen grew to 56,000 followers after Bio Bootcamp. That's an easy subject line to go, okay, yeah, well, I want to know, tell me. And then the last email, again, 24 hours later leads to my next offer, which is turning your Instagram into a money-making machine. And I lead them to the post and profit playbook, right? So the other thing, it's going to introduce your next, like the next best paid offer for them. Like, what would you suggest as their next step? You introduce that in that last email. And I like to include some sort of like discount, or like, here's an incentive or an extra little bonus for you, right? Like, here's a 10% off or something like that that you can use if you get it right now. So that's kind of my basic freebie funnel. So now you know what to send. Okay, so that was a lot of a spiel. Before we go on, any questions about all of that stuff? I know that is a lot. Give you a couple minutes. It looks like everybody's pretty darn good. Okay. Oh, that's a great question. How do you give social proof with no sales yet? Okay, so great question. So if you don't have any sales yet, you can use your story as social proof. You can use something else that you've gained from this process, even if it's not a sale, what is another benefit or bonus that you have gotten from it, right? So maybe you started this digital marketing business and you haven't made any sales yet, but because you took the leap, you have, you've got this newfound confidence, and now you're actually getting clients, that you're helping with social media, or you're no longer afraid of social media, and you are having so much fun meeting people all around the world. Maybe it's a story of, like if you've got kids, maybe your daughters or your kids seeing their mom build this business and what that has done, and what that means to you. You can use your story and your journey in terms of social proof, or borrow social proof, right? So maybe if you don't have it yet, borrow somebody who does, right? So you can use them as a testimonial and show what's possible, even if it hasn't happened for you yet. Those work. Okay. What does the email funnel lead to if you don't have a finished paid product yet? So great question. So you wouldn't necessarily be leading them to that paid product, but the email funnel, you could just keep nurturing them and kind of you could send that fifth email like, hey, I just wanted to see if you'd had a chance to go through the freebie yet. I'd love to know your feedback. Or what I did with Bio Bootcamp, and I think this was really helpful, if it's something that has a clear before and after result. So let's say I help people declutter their home. I'm laughing because that would never be something I'd be qualified to do. But if I help people declutter their home and I give the freebie that walks people through this process of getting their home organized and decluttered, maybe in one of my emails or in that freebie delivery, I tell them hey, make sure to take a before and after picture and share it with me. I'd love to show your transformation, or I'd love to see how it worked out. I did that with Bio Bootcamp. I said, hey, send me your before and afters, and I can tell you if there's anything else I would tweak, or if there's any little changes I'd make, I'll let you know. And a lot of people send me their before and afters. It's great because it keeps that relationship and that conversation going. So you can use your email to continue to nurture them that way, or just kind of let it naturally kind of fall into a general email flow. So, sending a bi-weekly newsletter type email, giving them value, giving them, what's working now. Maybe you're sharing trending audios, maybe you're sharing tips and tricks, something you just figured out. Maybe you send them content ideas, or, different things that you would send for your audience, but that's what I would do. She said, great. My daughter wants to start a business now. Thanks. Awesome. That's what happened at my house too. My daughter actually makes the world's best organic chapstick. It's so pretty. Super proud of her. Okay. So that is kind of all of that in a nutshell. Holler if you have questions about that. And if not, I'm going to kind of tell you what next steps make sense for you guys now. So, okay, you have your freebie, all of that's working. So the next thing that's coming down the pipe for me and my audience, and like I haven't even really talked about this yet, so you guys are the first people to hear about it, is something called idea to income. And basically, idea to income is where I'm going to be teaching people how to go from their idea to actually creating their own digital products, marketing and selling them within 30 days. So I'll break it all down for you, how to build it, how to know that this is the product that will actually sell, how to do the research, how to brand it, launch it, create content that will sell it for you. All of that is going to happen in idea to income. And we'll have some like group coaching calls where I can give you feedback on your products and all that jazz. So that is idea to income, and it's happening June 13th. And I'm super, super excited about it. But basically, like I said, it's going to teach you how to create, launch, and sell your own digital products. And I'm all for, like, there's so many people doing MRR and PLR and all that's great. Awesome. If it's working for you, amazing. The thing about having your own digital products, in my opinion, it is so much easier to sell something that is yours, that you created, that you're really an expert or an authority in, than to sell something that you're not yet, or that you're just still kind of learning, right? And I use this example. One of my VIP girls teaches families like how to be bilingual, and she teaches Spanish. And she does really well. If I tried to do that, it would be a complete joke. And I would never, like, people, I would owe people money, basically. I can't speak Spanish. How could I teach somebody else how to speak Spanish in their family? It wouldn't work. So having something that you are already good at, or you already are knowledgeable at, something that your friends already come to you for, use that, turn it into a digital product, and start making some passive income while you figure everything else out, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about. So idea to income, when it goes live after June, it'll end up being $97, but for the next 48, it's going to be $47, which is pretty killer. Or you can package it with the Post and Profit Playbook. So you get all the systems, how to do your automations, how to do the connecting the dots between your email funnel and your Stand Store and Zapier and all those crazy things. That's in Post and Profit. And you can get all of that for $97, which is pretty darn groovy. Yeah, so 30 days to selling your own digital products. That is what is coming next. For all of you guys, like I said, I'll help you figure out what product you should create that's actually going to sell, how to do it, like how to actually create the physical product, that design these beautiful things in Canva or workshops, whatever, how to find your right buyers and get them excited to buy from you, and then how to turn that into actual passive income. That is what I'm talking about. Passive income. Okay, so that is kind of all that I have for you today. So I'm going to stop my share and see what other questions I can answer. I know that was a lot. That was a lot of info. Okay. I'm creating a course about how to enter into the international teaching market. What type of freebie would you recommend for this niche? Okay. Okay, I'm thinking, because that's something I know very, very little about. Okay, so if I was teaching somebody how to become a teacher in the international teaching market, maybe you could do some sort of resource thing where you give people like resources to reach out to in different places. Like if you're looking for jobs in Spain, here are the actual people you should be emailing or contacting, like here, almost like a not like a address book, but like a what would you call that? Like a contacts, like a list of contacts of people to reach out to network to like, these are the people you want to get hired by, right? In different countries. Or am I may be totally talking about something different than what you're referencing. Creating a course about how to enter into the international teaching market. What type of freebie? Did that make any sense, Rachel?
You're down the right direction. So
Okay.
I lived internationally and taught overseas, and there's a huge market of that for
Okay.
teaching across the globe. But I'd like to create a course for helping people with how to enter into that and how to
Yeah.
get started and how to go to where to go to job fairs at and how to
Okay.
do all the steps of it, because I entered into it pretty blind and would have loved
Gotcha.
somebody to hold my hand
Yeah.
through the process.
Okay, so then here's what I would do. I would think back, and this is hard when you're when you're like so much further down the road than the people you'll be helping. Think back to when you hadn't yet been hired to do this, but you wanted to do it. You wanted to travel and teach internationally. What were the first steps that you needed to take, right? So think about what those things are. Maybe it's like the logistics of like, you're going to need these 10 documents, or you're going to need, this type of CV. Maybe you can teach a little workshop that is like the absolute basic first things you need to know if you want to teach internationally. And you're going to break down like, here's the first things you need to do. And then from there, maybe that next step into your paid offer is like, okay, now if you want my help getting it done, here's the next step. Like, I'm going to tell you who to go talk to. I'm going to give you their number and their email and like, here's the place, right? And make sure, you want to look for this type of place to live and don't do this. And here's the pitfalls, right? But if you could teach a little short workshop on like the 101 of it kind of would be helpful probably, but thinking back to what those first steps were for you will give you some good ideas, I think.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of
Appreciate your
course.
time.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Annalene says, can you give a few examples? Demand creating post. I would love to. Okay. So here, I'll share my screen one more time. Okay. So demand creating post. So we kind of talked about, whoops, hold on. Share. All right. Okay. So like the one example I used was, all right. So this is a demand creating post for a bio bootcamp.
This is why your Instagram bio matters. Okay, meet Kristen. Kristen was one of the very first people that took my bio bootcamp workshop. Okay, when she took the workshop, she had 116 followers, and this is what her bio looked like. Okay, we made a few tweaks, a few little changes. Within about a week, she was up to 6,000 followers, and look at where Kristen is today. Okay, your bio matters. It can make or break your following and your growth on Instagram. So if you haven't done it yet, comment bio and I will send you the free workshop so you too can tweak your bio and have results like Kristen.
Okay. Did that make sense? So that's a really great demand creating post. This is like the ones we did for this workshop. If I tell you this, can we still be friends? Nobody wants your PDF. We've got to start creating better freebies. Check the caption for what makes a killer freebie. Okay, like that's a really good one. Demand creating. Okay, let's see. Let me find another option or example for you. Okay, so this is kind of a good example. So kind of, something like this, like my business blew up this year because I stopped launching like the bros and I started marketing like a mother, right? And I give you the full story and it kind of pushes people to the Post and Profit playbook of like, this is how I actually market my business and get results. And I stopped doing like what all the like people were telling you with these huge launches and blah, 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 blah. And I just did it like a mom. That's another kind of creating demand for the offer. Let me see if I can find you one more. Showing results is another way to create demand. So like this one,
Cool. No. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
right? Okay, so that creates demand by showing you like, this is the result I've been able to get. Here's how I did it. You want to know how I did it, right? Once you see that. So that's another kind of example. Did that help a little bit? I hope, sort of, kind of. Okay. Okay. Everybody has to kind of hop off. Okay. So I'll give a couple more minutes. If anyone else has questions, y'all have been so kind. Let's see. Okay.
Brian, I have a
Yeah.
question if there's nothing else
Sure.
in the chat,
Yep.
just really quick. I'd love to just get first of all, excellent job. This has been an amazing
Yep.
workshop, tons of value. So many good stuff. And the worksheet that came with it was amazing.
you.
Yeah. So I love the idea of doing a workshop. And the question I have is, would you just say it's an old school way? Because the way that I used to do it is I would have my freebie, whether it was a checklist or some sort of guide of some kind. And then on the last page of the worksheet of that free PDF would be the link to my upcoming workshop. So it's kind of like doing the freebie, 3 to 5 page PDF, and then at the end inviting them to the workshop. And again, the conversion rate, I don't know, maybe like about a third of the people that got the
Yeah.
freebie would register for the workshop.
Mhm.
And so I haven't done that in a while, but that's the way I used to do it. I just wonder if that's like just the old school way of doing it. And the asking people to sign up for a workshop for some people is a big first step in the pool for some people, because it's a time ask for people. And I'm just wondering, because you invited people to this workshop, and then when they register, they get this amazing value packed guide. So it's kind of like the reverse way of doing it. And
Mhm.
so, and it increases kind of, the stick sequence kind of to making sure people show up. It's like you're getting this guide and there's places to fill out, and we're going to go over it in the workshop,
Yeah.
fill in all those answers. Long story short, should we still try to create something that is a more of a dipping your toe in the water first ask? Should we focus on creating something like a quiz or some sort of 10 best hooks, or like the 3 videos that all businesses should have, or whatever, something in the beginning that is easily and quickly consumable that gives them that first taste?
Yeah, I think those all still have value and merit, and I think they can work. The reason I like the workshop is, and you're right, it can feel like a big ask because it's time, right? Like you all sat here with me for an hour and a half, like this is time. However, I make it very clear from the get-go that like, if you can't be there live, cool, whatever, you'll get the replay.
Yeah.
I never show up live to things. So you guys are awesome, because I never ever do, because I'm like, my life is like this. I'm always running and doing stuff. I usually don't have time to do that, but I watch every replay. I never miss the replay. I love the replay. I'll listen to it in my car on the way to the dance studio, on the way to school. Like, so there's still value even if they get the replay. The other great thing about it is it happens once, and then like Bio Bootcamp, it's been working all year long, right? So it gives them that really tangible result that they can do on their own time. That's why I love it. So I love that. Those are my favorite, but I still think there is value in, like the quizzes and those types of things. The downside to having like the workbook come first and try to push people from the workbook to the workshop is that you're right. Not everybody gets through the workbook, and not everybody even downloads it. Right. So you're already like cutting your potential audience in half or a third or whatever. Right. So you're almost working against yourself or making it like an uphill battle, when you could have delivered them the biggest result first and then given them this along with it, or, used this to move them to the next thing.
Yeah.
That's my thought. The biggest thing, and I should have mentioned this earlier. But the biggest thing that I would caution against for any of you, if this is something that would be in your industry or niche, is like having whatever you do, please do not put in your Instagram bio, like book a free discovery call or a free clarity call. Oh my God, please don't do that. Please, for the love of God, do not do that. I'm begging you, like, don't do that to your business. Nobody's going to do that. If you are successful with that model and that's working for you, like seriously, I want your number and I want to talk, because I don't understand it. I'm never going to do that. Right. And I spend money, like it's not that I don't want to like invest in my business, but I know if I get on a clarity call with somebody, they are going to pitch me at the end of it. And it's going to be awkward because I just found their page 15 minutes ago and I'm not ready to do that yet. I don't want to do that. It's uncomfortable. And that's why nobody books those calls with you for the most part. Going from Instagram to a clarity call is not ideal. It's going to make business and life rough. I do not want to do calls. Yeah, nobody wants to do calls. Trust me. I've been on both ends and they're not the best. So yeah. Oh, perfect. The replay link. So that, I'm going to send the replay link, after this all records and buffers. I'll send it out probably in the next 24 hours. You'll have it. Yeah. Okay. And then the workbook, Melissa, did you not get the workbook? See if that link that Amanda, thanks for doing that, Amanda, dropping that in there. If not, I can send it to you.
Yeah, I just went back through my email. Couldn't find the email, but all good now. Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll see. If not, I can always resend it too. Okay. Coop, did I answer your question?
You did.
What I
Yeah.
find out? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also good. Like like I was reminded of this call because of the email. So it's, it's, you never know exactly where somebody is going to catch these types of workshops. Because I don't, I mean, I'm in your email chain, so I can see when you're doing this workshop. And it's like, I'm glad that it came up today and I saw it. The other question is like, do you still promote, like, did you promote this workshop in social media that it was happening today? Like, did you do that today as part of your thing, or did you just keep it as part of the?
I did. So like, this was kind of like a lazy launch, if you will. So
Yeah.
like I said, I made those 3 posts. I think I did 4 Instagram stories. Yesterday, I posted 1 story about it. I didn't even make a reel about it. And I did nothing today. Nothing.
Got
Except I sent that email 30 minutes before.
Email still works.
Yeah. And I think that's important to like recognize that, like, just because, there will be so many other people that watch this that aren't here with us right now, that they will watch the replay like I do. And keep that in mind, in general, as like you look at your Instagram account, as you look at that, if you're not getting the engagement that you hope to have right now, that doesn't mean people aren't paying attention, right? I literally was on a call with a new client yesterday and she was like, I've been watching you for so long and I just figured now's the time. I don't think she's ever commented on a single post. Like, you know what I mean? But she's been in my world paying attention this whole time. And the same is true for the people on your email list. The same is true for the people that get the replay a year later. They're all still paying attention. So hopefully that's encouraging.
Well, I got a client who'd been to like 8 of my workshops, and then finally on the 8th one, they finally bought.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
It was the same workshop all 8 times, but it took like 8 times to convince them to finally do
I
it.
love it. I love it. Okay. Do you have any more tips on faceless, or was it about becoming an expert in something? Okay. So the faceless thing. Yeah, I'll touch on that real quick. So I love that faceless is a thing for people who don't want to show up, like who are either introverted or shy, or just can't stand the thought of like being live on camera or talking on camera. I get it. Not everybody wants to do that. The issue with faceless is this. It is much, much harder to establish authority and expertise when you are not showing up in your content across the board. So keep that in mind. If you are going down the faceless route, you have really got to get creative and intentional on how you are building authority into your content, whether that's in your captions, whether it's in your, on-screen text. It has to be a major piece of your content or you're going to struggle. There's one person, and I think it's interesting because now she's starting to show her face, but she started as a faceless account and I follow her. And she's grown really quickly, But the reason she's grown that account so quickly is because in every piece of content, she references the fact that she used to work for Meta as a ads like marketing exec. Like she knows the ins and outs. She knows what works. She knows, like, she's got the secret insider information. Okay. Well, she instantly built authority by divulging that information in her caption, right? Otherwise, I would really have no necessarily any strong, compelling reason to follow her because it's kind of the same as everybody else, but she has unique insight given her experience. So that's kind of my take on the faceless situation. Bye, Annaline. Yeah. Does that kind of help a little bit, Amanda? Is she even still here? Oh yeah, she is. Okay. Yeah, the faceless thing can be tricky. Like you really have to build in that authority. And the other important thing with faceless too is like you're probably starting to see what I'm seeing, which is like a lot of the same videos, a lot of the same, like, you know, stuff taken from Canva and turned into a reel, and it all kind of starts to look alike. And unfortunately, that's not just happening in the faceless stuff. It's happening just kind of overall, especially with digital marketers. Same hooks, same colors, same fonts, like it's all the same stuff. I call it karaoke content. So you have to figure out how you're going to stand out. How can you be unique and different and set yourself apart from everybody else that looks exactly the same? You know, you've got to really get creative. Figure out your it factor. Okay. I think we are good. Okay, I do agree. I legit asked ChatGPT's way to build authority. So being an expert will help for sure. Yes. Okay, that's why I went with colors instead of neutrals. Yep, there you go. Okay, so and as you bring up ChatGPT, I'll give you one last little nugget before we go. One fun thing that I've been doing lately as a market research tool is using threads. And this is in your workbook. I put that in there as a place to do market research, but you will find asking those questions like, what's your biggest struggle? What have you tried before? You know, asking questions around your potential freebies and around your potential offers in threads, you're going to get really detailed, juicy, lengthy responses. I asked a question in there just the other day about what's keeping people from selling their own digital products, and that each response is like a paragraph and a half, right? Of like detailed, good information. And guess what? I'm going to take all that information and go create content around it, right? All of that is helpful. So that's a really great place. You'll get way better, longer answers than you will like in a comment section on Instagram. People are just, I think because it's more like Twitter, they'll say anything. So you'll get a lot more juicy info over there. So that's kind of fun. Okay. If no one else has any like burning last minute, can't sleep tonight, if I don't get it answered questions, then I am going to hop off, but this has been awesome. If you have questions, you know, moving forward as you work through your freebie, shoot me a DM or email me. I'm always happy to help and always happy to give you my 2 cents and what I think would be best for you. And yeah, hopefully I'll get to see you guys again somewhere, right? All right. Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your day.